is from the Vocational Rehabilitation Office, and she is an ambassador for the stable accounts. She will tell you more about her background. She has plenty of expertise working with people, trying to help them get on their feet financially. And the stable account is a new way to be able to save money, you know, as long as you meet the income guidelines. So without further ado, are we ready to? Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
So first off, I'd like to apologize because I'm having to do this seated. I injured my knee, and standing for even 15 minutes is rather painful. So you guys will just bear with me. We'll get through. As Susan said, I'm with the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. I am a stable account ambassador through the State Treasurer's Office. I do the Kentucky Assistive Technology Loan Corporation, which does financial loans for the purchase of assistive technology. We have a new program that we're offering loans for assistive technology of $100 to $7,000 with a 0% interest rate for 4 years. I'm also a community partner, certified work incentives counselor. So if anybody is interested in going back to work, I can do what's called a benefits analysis, and we can work with the individual to show what happens to your benefits if you return to work or enter the workforce. Also, I have certification through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the FDIC in their financial empowerment programs as well. But today, I'm here to talk about stable accounts. And you're going to hear them referred to as able accounts in other states, and I'll explain where the stable piece comes in when we get to that point. But ABLE is federal legislation that was entitled Achieving a Better Life Experience. And it came about in 2014. And it was created for savings and investment accounts for individuals with disabilities. Now, let me repeat that. It was done to create savings and investment accounts for individuals with disabilities. How many people in this room have heard the old saying that a person with a disability can't save money? If they save money, they'll lose their benefits. All right, well, this may no longer be the case depending upon your eligibility within the program. So the saving of this money would not impact your eligibility for certain means tested programs such as SSI and Medicaid. So what is ABLE or stable? It's an account that has some hybrid functionality. It's a little bit like a 529 college savings account. And a 529 college savings account allows a parent, guardian, or responsible adult to set aside funds for a child's secondary education, whether that could be college, community college, or trade schools. So there is some people put funds in, and then they have the option to invest those funds or to have it just remain at that particular dollar amount. It's a little bit like a checking account. Everybody's familiar with a checking account. You put money in, you write your checks, or you use your debit card, or you have an automatic payment taken out for whatever expense you're wanting to pay. And it's a little bit of a special needs trust. Now, a special needs trust is something that you would definitely want an attorney and a financial advisor to walk you through a special needs trust. So it's a little bit of all three of those thrown in. So stable is Kentucky's ABLE plan. It is administered through the State Treasurer's Office. The current State Treasurer is Mark Metcalf. So the ST in the ABLE is State Treasurer's Office. That's one of the questions that I always get asked. Why did Kentucky name their program after a horse barn? Yeah. And I'm like, no, we didn't name it after a horse barn. So the ST is to pull in the State Treasurer's Office. And the state of Kentucky has partnered with the state of Ohio for the administration of the program. So that has allowed for fees and all those kind of things, that expenses that we don't see, they're covered through this particular partnership. So, you know, the costs are minimal to the individuals participating in the program and to the state itself. So three of the biggest benefits in regards to a stable account is ownership of the account. So that means that the account can be in the name of the person with the disability. It doesn't have to be a representative payee. It doesn't have to be a POA. It could be in that particular individual's name. The other thing is financial independence. It eliminates that spend down, particularly for someone who receives SSI. An SSI recipient can't have more than $2,000 at the end of the month. And I can't tell you the number of times in my 31 years at vocational rehabilitation that somebody has come in and they said, I'm getting ready to hit my $2,000 at the end of the month. I'm going to run to X store and buy a whole new wardrobe, and not necessarily need a whole new wardrobe to get their monies down below that $2,000. Well, if they have a stable account, they can put those excess funds in there and it not affect their SSI. The other one is there's some tax benefits. And it may qualify for multiple tax benefits each year. I'm not a CPA, so you would definitely need to speak with a CPA about those particular benefits. So eligibility. How do you become eligible for this particular program? Well, you have to be an individual living with a disability that occurred prior to age 26. Now that's a low bar right now, because as we all know, a lot of individuals don't acquire their disabilities until later in life. There's been a lot of advocating that has gone on in DC, and in January of 2026, they're going to raise that to the age of 46. Also, one piece with that is, as we all know, some disabilities may not get a formal diagnosis until someone gets later in life. But in the medical notes, the items that are related to that disability are there. So then a person could also possibly be eligible beyond the age 26 if there's documentation that the disability was occurring prior to age 26. All right, they also have to be eligible to receive SSI or SSDI due to their disability, or they have to have the condition listed on the Social Security's list of compassionate allowance conditions. And I think the last time I looked at that particular list, I think it was about 8 pages long and very small print. It seems like every 3 or 4 years that document gets added to for multiple pages. Also, there is a self-certification piece where a person can go in and they can self-certify. There is an eligibility quiz if anybody would like to take it, and it is located on the Stable Kentucky website, and that is Stable, STABLE, Kentucky, KENTUCKY.com. And it's probably, the eligibility quiz is maybe 5 minutes long, but it's a good place to check into. So self-certification. Self-certification, person can go in and have a need diagnosis of a physical or mental impairment that causes marked and severe functional limitations. So for example, you know, loss of eyesight, loss of hearing, loss of mobility. Those are the top ones. The condition also has to have lasted or is expected to last at least for 1 year. And the other thing is, you do not need a written diagnosis, but you do need to kind of keep that on hand. I always tell anybody, when you open up a stable account, or if you are dealing with the Social Security Administration, that you always invest in a good old 3-ring binder. And every sheet of paper that you get from those folks, you put in that 3-ring binder. So this is another instance in which I would strongly encourage that an individual will do an excellent job at record keeping. One of the questions that I always get at this point was, well, who's the person I could get in trouble with? And in this particular instance, it would be the Internal Revenue Service. But to be honest, I think stable accounts are so far down the IRS's list of priorities that, you know, it would take a while before they would get down to anybody. So how do you enroll in a stable account? It's free and it can be done online. Again, you would just go to stablekentucky.com. That's STABLE, Kentucky spelled out.com. And it's a quick and relatively easy process. Takes about 20 minutes. You're going to put in the basic information, you know, your name, your address, date of birth, social security number. And then also you're going to have some choices that you're going to do in regards to how you want your funds allocated in your particular account. You are required to do a minimum opening deposit, and that is $25. I don't think there's many bank accounts that you can open nowadays for $25. The enrollment can be done by the individual with a disability or their authorized legal representative, which can take many shapes and forms. That could be an agent under a power of attorney, a conservator, spouse, parent, a social security representative payee. Any of those folks can open the account for the individual. There is a little bit of a cost for the account. It is $2.25 a month. So $6.75 is taken out each quarter for the maintenance fees. There is for the asset-based portion of the program, there is a fee with that as well. And it is between 0.19 and 0.33% of your investment funds. And I'll get into those investment pieces here just in a little bit. So how can you fund your account? How can you put money into it? Well, you can do an electronic funds transfer, an EFT, so you could have it go from your checking account or your savings account into your stable account. You could actually send in a check if you wanted. Or if the individual is employed, they can also have the option for a payroll direct deposit through their company or business, that they could ask that I want X number of dollars out of my paychecks sent to my stable account. So in regards to employment and stable accounts, by an employer offering these accounts, it gives the individual with a disability another opportunity to participate in some programs that they may not participate in, that is offered to their other employees in the program. For example, 401ks, 457s, those kind of things. A lot of individuals with disabilities shy away from those particular accounts. But if you have a stable account, then you can put those funds in there and use kind of as a retirement savings program if you would like. So I've had some people that asked me earlier, how much can you put into this account? Well, if you are not employed, in 1 year's time, you can put in a maximum of $18,000 per year. That $18,000 per year is the IRS gift giving laws. So for example, if I wanted to give to Susan $19,000, the IRS is going to come in there and they're going to tax me. But if I was to give to Susan $18,000 under the gift giving laws, then that would not be taxable. That $18,000, that does change from year to year. Usually it's about $1,000. In the last 6 years, I think there's been one time where it's gone up $1,500. So that number will change from year to year. If a person is employed, then they can put into their ABLE account $32,580 per year. $18,000 of that from any source that they want. The remaining would be from wages. $14,850 could be from wages.
Excuse me just 1 second. Is there a Mary Haig waiting for a wheels bus in here? Mary's right there. Mary. They're gonna wait for you 2 more minutes and that's it. Mary's the lady.
Did they come and tell her that they were waiting?
I ran out because the bus has been out there for a little bit.
Well, they're supposed to be. Yes, let me get your water. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That is perfectly fine. The maximum amount that can be put into an account over a lifetime is $541,000. The neat thing about the program is that there are automatic features that are built in. So if a person is not employed and somebody tries to put in more money than the $18,000, it will reject that. It won't allow you to put it in there. So whatever your limits are, if you're not employed, it's the 18,000. If you are employed, it's the 32,580. It will stop. It won't accept any more contributions into the account. The other cool thing about the stable accounts is there is a gift giving page. As we all know, there's milestones in everybody's lives. People graduate from high school, graduate from college, graduate from trade school, get married, turn 60, turn 70, turn 80, turn 90, turn 100. You could have a gift giving page set up to where these funds would automatically go into your stable account. And that way they would not count as a resource or income as if somebody had just physically handed you the money. So that's a really nice feature, particularly for individuals who are in the process of, starting life, but also for those of us that are in midstream of life and in later life as well. I had talked about some investment options. So the program has 4 Vanguard mutual funds that range from aggressive to conservative. And then there is the good old FDIC bank safe amount. So if you put in $100 and you want it all in bank safe, it's all going to stay in bank safe. If you want to spread your investments out, you can spread it out by a percentage over the Vanguard accounts and the bank safe account. The investment piece and how you invest your funds is what your comfort level is. So, as we all know, there are some people in this world that are big risk takers. They go to Vegas and they throw it all down. Let it ride, let it ride. And then there's those of us that keep it clutched to our chest. So it's what your level of comfort is in regards to your investment components. So are there any questions on anything so far that I have covered? I know I've hit you with a lot of information. All right, so I've told you how to your eligibility, how to enroll, what your investment options are, and what the limits are. So if I save all this money, what the heck can I do with it? I have things I need to pay for in life, right? Well, you can spend it on what are called qualified disability related expenses. Now, I personally don't like that terminology because what they have down for qualified disability related expenses covers a wide gamut of things. I know when we all think disability related expenses, we're thinking transportation, we're thinking durable medical equipment, we're thinking canes, we think things of that nature. In this particular instance, it could cover such things as housing and rent, basic living expenses. I don't know, anybody been to the grocery store here lately? That's kind of a shocker when you get that receipt at the end of your journey through the grocery store. You can use these funds to purchase groceries. You can transportation, whether it be paying car insurance, buying a car, bus tickets, Uber, what have you. The big thing is you will need to maintain receipts for these items. Education, whether it be college, trade school, or an adult learning course. Let's say you wanted to take up underwater basket weaving. Then here's your opportunity to pay for your underwater basket weaving class. Assistive technology. As we all know, the assistive technology, it changes minute by minute. You go in and you buy something and you walk out the door and it's already obsolete. Financial management. So if you wanted to talk with a financial counselor, you can use these funds to pay for them. Health and wellness, gym fees, prescription drugs, co-pays at the doctor's office, those things. Legal fees. Probably the one thing that we're all probably kind of guilty of is we don't take care of all those legal things that we need to take care of. Like, what happens if I need a financial power of attorney? What do I want people to know in regards to my, I don't want to be on a ventilator. So you can also use these funds to pay for legal fees to get those documents done. So when you're looking at qualified disability related expenses, it's not just those things that we in the disability community think about. It's those things that are also outside those parameters as well. So you've got a couple of ways that you can spend out of your account. You could have funds transferred from your stable account into your checking or your savings account. You could also have done what is called a third-party check. So let's say that you needed a new pair of hearing aids. So you went to the audiology center of Central Kentucky and got a new pair of hearing aids. You could ask the stable program to cut the check directly to that particular vendor. They would mail it into the audiologist office, and then you would go in and pick up your hearing aids, and your transaction is complete. There is also a stable Visa card. And it looks like just like any other debit card that a person would have. You can ask that a certain dollar amount be transferred onto the card. So let's say your $6,000 hearing aids, you wanted it $6,000 transferred onto your Visa card, your stable Visa card, that can be done. And then you would go in and you could just swipe the card as you check out and get your hearing aids and make sure that you get your proper fittings on your hearing aids. So that card, that stable card, it's loadable. It will also help you to track the expenses because you can go in and you can see, okay, I spent $6,000 at the audiologist office. I spent $25 on a copay, and you'll have a record of those transactions. You'll also get an alert that will let you know when the card's been used. So any transactions that are conducted, you'll get an alert that will say, hey, your stable card was used. Was this you? And you would just say yes or no. It'll also let you know if the account's balance gets down low. So let's say that you had $1,000 loaded on there and it's now down to $50. You would get an alert that says your account's down to $50. There's also some protections. There's no overdrafts. You cannot do cash access off the card. And it is somewhat limited in regards to some merchants and types of expenses. So you wanted to use your stable funds for adult entertainment, you wouldn't be able to do that on the Visa card. I'm sorry?
I could probably something on repeat.
So there are a few, there's a few restrictions as to where you can use your stable card, but it's just like any other debit card that you would utilize. If a person receives SSI, if their balance is over $100,000, then it does count as a resource. But what will happen is that SSI is merely suspended. It's not terminated until you get below that, back under that $100,000. The other thing, we see some individuals have pulled out funds from their stable account to pay for their rent. And rent was due, let's say, on the 30th, but they didn't process it for payment until the 2nd of the month. Depending upon what the balance is in their regular checking account, that could count as a resource and have an effect on their SSI. In all my years on the face of the earth, I have never seen anybody that has money due to them ever say, please don't pay me early. I have never seen a landlord that has said, no, don't pay me before the 15th. I've seen landlords that are very excited if people have paid before the 15th. So really, you just kind of have, as an SSI person, they would have to, pay close attention to the end of the month and not let those funds carry over. The account holders' own wages would still count as income, even if it's contributed to the stable account under SSI. The other questions that has kind of come about in the last couple of years is what happens if the account holder passes away? Well, the account will pass to the account holder's estate. What would happen is the estate administrator would contact the stable account customer service and they can take over account access. If the account holder does not have a will, then the account will have to go through the normal probate process as anybody else's estate would go through. Medicaid payback. We've all heard that terminology. We're somewhat familiar with it. Kentucky in March 31st of 2023 passed into law Senate Bill 160, which basically states that stable accounts are not subject to claim by the Cabinet for Health and Family Services unless required by federal law. So on the death of the designated beneficiary, it's transferred to the estate of the beneficiary unless prohibited by federal law. So Medicaid can't come back in and say, oh, well, we spent X number of dollars on you, so we're going to take X number of dollars back in. So there is no payback. I get this one a lot, particularly with individuals who are parents of children with disabilities, and it's in regards to special needs trust. So a lot of people say that they think it's a good idea to have both a stable and the special needs trust, because there are things that you can do under stable that you can't do under a special needs trust. There's things you can do under a special needs trust that you can't do under stable. So again, that's something that you would definitely want to speak with an attorney, a financial person in regards to the special needs trust. But there are a few differences, but then there are some similarities as well. We do have a customer service information line, and that number is 1-800-439-1653. Again, that's 1-800-439-1653. It is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you have a question that you want answered directly, we do have an email box, and it's team, TEAM, at stableaccount.com. Again, that's team, TEAM, at stableaccount.com. And of course, the web address is stable, STABLE, Kentucky spelled out, .com. Another excellent resource that you can utilize is the ABLE National Resource Center. They have all of the programs that are available in the United States. All states, with the exception of 4, being Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin, all have ABLE account programs. Some states will allow people from out of state to participate in their program. And also on this particular, at the National Resource Center, there's a piece on there where you can pull up 3 different programs, and you can do a side-by-side comparison of the programs and see which, do I have a better interest rate there? Are the fees less? So it's a wonderful resource. There's also some good articles, a couple of videos, and things of that nature. Now that I have completely overwhelmed you, what questions do you have?
So this is not a program for somebody that's drawn regular Social Security.
If the individual acquired their disability prior to age 26, they draw SSI or SSDI on the list of Social Security's compassionate allowances, or can self-certify, then yes.
So I'm almost 78, so I'm not qualifying, right?
And you, did you acquire your disability prior to age 26?
No,
Okay, then unfortunately, no.
but not just because of my age, but because I didn't acquire it before age 26.
Right, you have to acquire your disability prior to age 26, but come January of 2026, it will go up to 46. There were several groups that has asked for that and advocated that age range be even brought up higher. But as we all know, when people go in and they start crunching numbers and things, that people get uncomfortable at certain levels. You know, originally there was a push to have it in the 60s, but it, you know, through negotiation, it fell down to the age of 46. Hopefully one day it will get up there higher. Yes, ma'am, Christy.
Yeah, I follow the same loop Judy overdose. I have diabetes retinopathy, and I didn't get mine till I was diagnosed in 2000, so I wouldn't meet the requirements.
Probably not. And again, like I said, this isn't.
And I think because diabetes retinopathy is one of the leading eye causes for eye disease, I think they need to go back and I think they need to review that
Yes.
and bring the age up. Because as people get older, and Judy can attest and different people can attest to that. You know, if you're diabetic, your eyes do break down and you do end up with diabetes retinopathy.
Yes, ma'am. And you know, certainly that, you know, that has been
And
one.
I'm just being an advocate.
And that's what we all need more of. You know, make sure that, you know, you contact your legislators and let them know that, you know, while this is great, this doesn't, you know, meet the needs of everybody on the disability realm because of the age restriction. Yes, Susan.
Is it only for people who are like on Medicaid or SSI? Or is it something that's could be benefit somebody who is receiving social SSDI, for instance?
Yes, so an individual who does receive SSDI could also participate in the program.